Hello and welcome to Autism Live Chat UK. We've had a few technical difficulties tonight. Unfortunately we can't seem to get Gillian on the show. She's having problems with a video camera, but however, we'll try and get to her during the show a bit later on. But I'm joined now by Mandy. Mandy, thank you for joining me again on Autism Live Chat UK. Can you just give us an update what's happening with Lorna at the moment?
Well, Lorna's still on the community treatment order. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. How long does this community treatment order last for?
I'm not too sure, to be honest, because when it was issued, they never give me a detailed outline of how long. It just basically said that she's on this community treatment order and on this depot on these lithium, and if she doesn't take them, they can call her back into hospital. Now, on Friday, she had a blood test, and we're waiting for the results on that because Laura had a few issues for that week. She had a chest X-ray because she couldn't breathe properly, right. And she was still sleeping 16 hours a day. So they give her a chest X-ray, waiting for the results. But the lithium's in the blood, and basically they're going to check to see that she's maintained the levels of this lithium in her blood. But that's every 3 months. So I don't know how often she's going to. Obviously, it's every 3 months that she'll be going for these blood tests. But still, I don't want her on this medication because 1,000 milligrams a lot.
Mm-hmm. So just remind the viewers who probably didn't tune in before, or if they're watching this on replay, just tell the viewers about Lorna and what actually happened from the start again.
Well, from the start, she decided to take herself to the Dunsop ward because she were having a few meltdowns at that time, and she went involuntary. And she'd been there for about 3 weeks and said, "I'm ready for coming home now. I'm sick." She'd got over these meltdowns, if you will, and then came home. And then there were a few issues at home at that time, and a bit of falling out, really. Not necessarily, probably another meltdown because she couldn't cope with the anxiety and everything else that was with that. So the police came again and they took her back to the ward. And the bizarrest thing was, I was talking to a police officer, and he actually stated that she got ASD. And I said, I'll probably clearly need to look into that because, she's already been diagnosed from the previous psychiatrist that she had autism. But anyways, then there were 5 days actually lapsed between being put onto a section and actually going onto the ward. So we don't know what happened in them 5 days, but she basically was put on a section against her will.
Mm-hmm. So Lorna's been out now for, how long has she actually been out for now?
She's been out now for 7 weeks. 8 weeks.
8 weeks now. And yeah. And what's life been like for Lorna since she's been out? How has she been coping?
She's been coping quite well, to be honest. She's smoking quite excessively in my eyes because of the anxiety, which is still there. That's not changed. She's sleeping 15 hours a day, and she struggles to get up, clearly with the medication that she's on. Her breathing's quite delayed. She used to exercise quite a lot before. She used to love walking. Now she struggles to walk 200 or 300 yards without being out of breath. She's put quite a couple of stone in weight on, obviously because of the depot injection. She's going out, trying to go out, a couple of times a week to try and encourage, life back to life, normal if you can. But she's still not my daughter.
So what do you want to see from what's happened from when she was sectioned to now? What's happened now?
Well, the thing being,
obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously you and Lorna must be living in fear.
Well, we are living in fear, to be honest, because this CTO, I can't understand why she has to have that. The thing being with it is, obviously, because she used to have, before she was on the medication, she'd have many meltdowns, you know what I mean? But we used to try and come to terms with it, try and help her with maybe meditation or doing something that changed the thought process, which meditation did help quite a lot. But obviously it's a continuous, which yourself, continuous. But what's frustrating me is that all she actually needed while she was in hospital was a brain scan. Now, they were adamant that you can't detect autism or ADHD through one, which I've done extensive research and that you can. So since she's been out, we're still having problems with that. So I went to the doctors and they stated, what are they going to find when they do this brain scan? I said, well, you can find it in the neural imaging. He says, well, there's nothing up here up north of England that can actually do that. You'd have to go to London. Now, I can't understand why I have to go to London to have this brain scan for her, which it only takes 15 minutes. I'm just so frustrated with the doctors that don't have any understanding or knowledge. Obviously, like you say, that, parents and families now are searching for all sorts of ways and means to make their quality of life better. And now I'm probably having to go to London. I've been in touch with King's College in London to get her assessed with a brain scan that's down there. And I'm thinking, gosh, it's crazy that you have to go so far away for them to even understand that that's all is necessary. And might I add that King's College have known this for 7 years.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the screen opposite me here, and we have got Gillian, who's trying to get through on the show tonight. She's having a few technical difficulties. She can't actually get through for some reason. Gillian, if you are watching this now, all you need to do is call us on Skype. So if you give us a call on Skype, Gillian, you can get through. If not, we'd have to catch up with you in a few days. So she is there in the background, but for some reason she's having difficulties. I can actually see her computer screen at the moment. So she is there, but for some reason she can't get on. So Mandy, just tell us. How is Lorna coping with all this? So, like I say, she must be living in fear because she doesn't realise what's going to happen from one day to the next day.
Well, no, because obviously, like you say, she struggles to get motivated. I mean, for the first time in 8 weeks, she's actually got up at 9 o'clock this morning because she had a meeting at 10. Now, any other day, there's just no chance of getting her out of bed. She just really struggles to actually physically get herself out of bed. And it's just not, I mean, like I said, she's been out 8 weeks, but for the past 4 of them, she slept. It's no quality of life at all. It's just numbing her signals within her brain so she doesn't function like she used to. But what's that so frustrating scenario now that I'm going to have to go and search elsewhere for this brain scan, which is obviously at King's College down in London, for her to get this neural imaging for this detection. Now, she's still under the ASD team, which has seemed to be, I'm emailing every other day, we'll get back to you. That is just a waste of time, money, taxpayers' money, you name it, a waste of time. It could be 2 years before they actually come to their agreement when there's already been an agreement 2 years prior. So I'm fighting a vicious circle. I feel like I'm in a hamster in a wheel going round and round. It's just so frustrating. It could save so much money in all aspects from a brain scan. 15 to 20 minutes, that's all it necessarily is needed.
Mm-hmm. Francesca has just said on Facebook, what medication is your daughter on?
The medication my daughter is on, she's on the Capixul injection every fortnight, a 400 ml injection. She's also on 1,000 milligrams a night of lithium.
Wow, so that is a lot of medication. So when Lorna was in hospital, Mandy, how many weeks in total was she in hospital for?
52.
So she was basically a year.
A year, yes. So, against the will, might I add.
Yeah, so do you think then, Mandy, as we know recently, you probably heard the story of Leo and her son, Stephen, who's recently come out of an ATU. What's your feelings around when somebody comes out of an ATU? What sort of care and help and support do they need?
Lana's just said to me that they need more support. There's not enough support. I mean, Lana's been out 8 weeks and probably seen as somebody that's been with her maybe about 4 times in that time, which is still ridiculous. There's not enough support on a daily basis. Obviously, I'm a full-time worker, like probably most mums are, and they only can do so much for them at certain times. That Lana needs support 24 hours a day, really. Obviously, when she's asleep, of course. But, I mean, I try and give her as much as I can when I can. A father too, and obviously a sister does help from time to time. But it is quite, intense and obviously the demanding side to it that comes with it, which you can't always give when is needed.
So do you think then when somebody comes out of one of these ATUs, do you think obviously they are traumatised, and do you think they may suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder?
No, I think they get overwhelmed by things, and I think that they find getting back, because obviously if they're coming out straight away, not having like days like they've had like maybe 2 hours building up to 3 to 4 hours, then going back. I mean, initially with Lana, because obviously at the time that she was admitted, she was in one place for 10 months because they knew they couldn't do anything about it and said she had psychosis, which she never had. And I'm not joking you, that was horrendous. But then when she was transferred somewhere else, he introduced like days, like 2 hours one day, then he built it up to 3 hours, and then it got to 4 hours, and then it got to where she could go out 8 hours a day. That helped Lana a lot, really, in getting back into the community. But still, by being in the community 24/7, it's the motivation that she lacks, because obviously heavily medication, it won't help matters. And some days she says, I just can't be bothered. And some days she just don't want to get out of bed. Now, that's not helping her or anybody around her, whether she had a care coordinator or not.
So if Matt Hancock or any of the care ministers are watching this now, what would you say to them?
He definitely needs to put his money where it's necessary. The thing being with that, they need to meet more care coordinators on board when people leave these wards. And to be honest, these people on these wards, all they need is a brain scan like the rest of them. Since Lana's discharge, one of her friends at the previous hospital have actually had a brain scan. Why didn't they issue it when Lana wanted it?
So you said they've got to have a brain scan. What's this about a brain scan?
You can detect in a brain scan autism, ADHD, ADD through the hippocampus of the brain. It's just behind the prefrontal cortex, where you can actually detect the condition and the abnormality. Well, it's not an abnormality as such, but the differentiation of brain matter.
Right, well, it's the first time I've come across this. I know that the BBC said something a few years ago, that they said that in the future they'd be able to detect maybe...
Well, they've known about it for 7 years at King's College, so why hasn't it been issued?
Right, and can you direct people to this website or this information you've got? Because it's the first I've heard.
I can direct people to this information. I'll probably post it on Twitter. I can post it on your page, whatever you like, really. I've done extensive research with the Autism Institute in America as well, Autism Speaks. I've also done some extensive research in Jerusalem with a professor there too. Now, the thing being with it is I'm working on not necessarily a cure, but to relieve symptoms of anxiety and such.
Yeah, well, as we know, that there is no cure for autism, so we need
as yet.
Yeah, well, at the moment there's no cure for autism, and obviously we need to get that clear, because we don't want to put out their messages to parents or anything like that. There's a cure for autism when we know there isn't a cure for autism.
No, not yet, but I think in the future there will be.
But we really need to get that clear, that at the moment there is no cure for autism.
No, but like you say, literally, what I'm stating about the brain scan situation, it could take 2 years, 3 years for an assessment in an adult, especially, because obviously they're very good at masking it, especially females. But that will save so much time and energy and overwhelming upset for not only the adult, the child as an adult, and also for the parents.
Mm-hmm. But at the moment, as we know now, that people who want a diagnosis or need a diagnosis have to go through a series of assessments seen a psychologist, psychiatrist to get that assessment, and the assessment's done through different diagnostic criteria. So
It's such a nightmare. The fact is that Lorna's had three separate different diagnoses from three separate psychiatrists and various psychologists. Why can't they all collaborate together and come to a conclusion? This is what the argument that I'm still going round with this bloody hamster wheel. The fact that she's already been diagnosed twice by the same psychiatrist, and now it's changed by the other two psychiatrists. It's something else. I mean, who's right?
and that's what I can't understand. Once you've got a diagnosis, you've got a diagnosis. You don't.
Exactly.
You
Because
don't.
there you go, you see. They're keeping her on them wards and charging £14,000 per patient. Basically, it's for the fat cats to put it in their back pocket and using her as a guinea pig. It's not politically correct.
Okay, so we've got a message coming here now. Yes, Mandy. Yes, Mandy, we got you back. We've got a message coming here which says, my son was put on psychotic medication, but he's not psychotic. It's about managing them. There's no support in the community as they all have to pay £1,000 a day to put our children in these units. They need to sort it out. BBC contacted me today about my son's lost 4 years of education, and it's getting no better for us. Scared for my son's future. Very sorry to hear that, Francesca. So yeah, that's very, very disappointing.
Well, Alana never finished secondary school either. Her anxiety had hit sky high. She couldn't even go to school. She struggled to even get out of bed at that time as well. She couldn't go to school. She never finished her GCSE. She never went to prom, and it just went from just downhill. There were no support, no nothing.
So, as we have got at the moment, we've got the campaign running at the moment, which is doing really, really well. We've nearly got 20,000 signatures, and if people want to get involved in that, they just need to obviously sign the petition, share the petition. We've got a campaign running at the moment, which involves people posting their selfies with the logo, the hashtag, to post on the post, which is hashtag autism, let them out autism. And at the moment we are trying to get up a billboard campaign, which we're trying to contact various different organisations to put a billboard campaign up to obviously raise the awareness of this, because the petitions committee have come back to me to say that they need 100,000 signatures before they can have a debate. What's your thoughts on that, Mandy?
I think it's really quite ridiculous when you're fighting against your own country. I mean, I lost my grandfather fought in wars for freedom for this country, and he also had a nephew who was killed in Afghanistan, and he was 25 fighting for freedom for people who live here. Now it's parents fighting for freedom for the children out of these AT units. That's not necessary. Now, the thing being with it just takes far too long. I mean, if you're in another country, it seems to be dealt with really quickly, and obviously it's about money at the end of the day. But I think they need to just stop talking about Brexit for a change and think about their own people as it is now. There's thousands of probably people in these AT units that don't need to be there. They need to be out in the community, and they want to start living their lives in their own country. I mean, it's all right. People, the military, for example, I've got a lot of military background, and they're looking for recruits. Who wants to be recruited when they're not looking after their own in the first instance?
Yeah, Paula McGowan's just said, she's got a message just come here. Thank you, Paula. I know you're watching this now. Paula says who campaigned for her son Oliver to get mandatory training. Paula said they debated Oliver's petition at 50,000 signatures. So don't give up hope. Yes, thank you for that, Paula. Really appreciate that. So yes, it shouldn't be the case that we have to get thousands and thousands and thousands of signatures. This needs to be debated in Parliament now, and ministers need to get this debated, because it's at the end of the day it's it's what I call it's a national crisis. and
Definitely.
it needs to be sorted out ASAP. We've also got another message coming from Emma Ramskill. She says the support system in the community for autism and mental health issues is disgusting. So many people are struggling, and they focus the attention on the wrong things. Yes, that's quite true. Sorry,
Yeah,
did you want to say
it's
something?
just not like you say. So, right, like you say, it's a shame that you have to get signatures before anything is even debated in Parliament. I mean, at the end of the day, it needs to be sorted now, not like when you've got 100,000 signatures. Why do we have to get these signatures to prove that there is a problem? Surely they must know there's a problem, because this country still is 12th century. It's 21st century now. In America or any other country, it's sorted out there and then. There's no signatures. It's debated and sorted out there and then. Instead of having all this backlog, there seems to be thousands and thousands of backlog. It's just ridiculous.
So, Mandy, is Lorna with you now?
She's with me now, yes.
What's her thoughts on this about the ATUs? Obviously, because she's been in one. And hi, Lorna, how are you?
I can't see myself.
That's okay. It's okay. Lorna, I was going to say to you, what's your thoughts on these ATUs, and what do you think the government should be doing?
I think they should give the patients counselling.
Counselling when they come out?
No, whilst you're in there.
Yeah. What about when they come out as well?
To go into some sort of a rehab or something.
A rehab. And do you feel, Lorna, that that you obviously you don't want to go back there? Do you fear every day if it would happen again?
It's always in the back of my mind, yes.
And how do you actually cope with that? What's your coping mechanisms?
Smoking.
Smoking. Well, we know that's not good for you. So, obviously you're getting a lot of support from your mum, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which is good, and it's good that you've got a really good mum.
Yeah.
So we've had another message in from Connor. He says, my son has only done 2 hours of school today. This could be his future with an ATU. So I don't know if you've seen, Mandy, today the government have actually released a new strategy out for children, doing better support for children, because the adults' autism strategy, the autism bill, is now going to include children. What's your thoughts on that, Mandy?
I think it's a long time coming, to be honest. I think, between, the ages of 16 and 65, there's a big backlog there of people who need to be assessed. I reckon there's at least 50% of them people that are actually autistic. By 2025, 3.5 billion people will have the condition. Not necessarily a bad thing, because, like you say, Albert Einstein was autistic, but he wasn't recognised for his autism and recognised for his genius. There is a lot of people that I've spoke to whose children go to Oxford and Cambridge who are Asperger's and autistic. But obviously they are geniuses, but they only focus on one particular subject, which that's what one of the traits are. But I feel that, it's not necessarily a bad thing to be autistic. I think it should be changed to be genius, to be fair. Like the doctor diagnosed me saying that I were autistic. I can see that in me as well. But I'm quite happy and proud to say that I am. And I think people who have this condition should say that as well. I don't think it should be labelled as a disability. I think it should just be not actually have a label, full stop. Like you're saying, that's
quite interesting, Mandy, what you've just said there. You said that you think you're on the spectrum. So you've not had a diagnosis, but you...
No.
So in what way do you think you may be on the spectrum?
A lot of things I've only noticed recently since with my daughter on how and why and such things. And I've watched a few videos on YouTube and such things. And I'm thinking, I can relate to some of those things. I'm quite happy to have an assessment and a brain scan alongside my daughter to see. The thing being with that is, when people who are autistic are interested in a particular subject, they go hell for leather, literally, to state and whys and what for's to have an understanding. like bit like a needle in a haystack scenario, and you're determined to get to the bottom of whatever you're studying. When I think about my daughter, for example, obsessed with history. I mean, I know a lot of autistic people are obsessed with history because they want to know everything and anything about it. Obviously I've got an obsession literally with the brain and such thing, which I do enjoy. Now, the fact is that I'm quite happy to be assessed just the same as Lorna, even though he already insinuated that I'm autistic. I looked at it and I thought, well, do you know something? I didn't see it as a problem or a disability or a condition. I just saw it, well, I'm happy as I am, and, I'm not on medication, so why is Lorna?
And do you think women mask the condition, especially the women who are not diagnosed with autism? Do you think they mask it quite well?
I think the women mask it very well, because I think with women they've got, no offence to men, but they have a really good intuition on such things, and they know how to cover things up easier than a man. I mean, men's brains are slightly different to a woman's brain, but I think it's only because of the biological situation. But generally, I feel that it's not a bad thing to say that you're autistic. I think you should be proud of the fact that you are. And if by 2025, half the population will have anyways, you're a genius.
Paula's mentioned as well, she just mentioned, what other support is Lorna getting at the moment?
She's not getting any support at all. The care coordinator, she's seen her twice in 8 weeks, and she actually was going to give Lorna some information on how to complain about the medication that she was on, but she's been nowhere near since. And then she stated to her that, why do you want to come off the medication? She said, well, I can't get out of bed. I'm sleeping 16 hours a day. I don't want to be sleeping that long.
Yeah, we've had another message coming from Connor, PDA. He says, I believe I have the same condition as my son. PDA, as this was me as a child. So Connor said he feels quite similar to his son at the moment.
Yeah.
Another message in from Ranciscus. She says, not enough knowledge and understanding, in my opinion. Our children get punished on a daily basis for being themselves.
Yeah, it's such a shame, isn't it? But you've got to realise is that these children that are up and coming now who have this condition, these geniuses, as I would like to call them, are going to be ruling the world eventually, because in another 7 years' time, they're going to be ahead of the game of those who aren't.
But I suppose in many sense we always have to remember as well, Mandy, that not everybody with autism are not geniuses. So these people who have got autism, who may be non-verbal, who may have a little difficulty.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that. I mean, you look at the people that are at Cambridge, Oxford, and Eton. I mean, they're highly intelligent. I bet majority of them are either autistic or Asperger's. Yes. How don't we actually know that all these people in these ATU units are geniuses as well?
Maybe some of them are. Who knows that? So, we'll go back to that question again. If Matt Hancock is watching this now, and the other care ministers, what do you want to happen next now for your daughter?
For my daughter, I wanted to have this brain scan. I'm quite happy to have that brain scan as well, and I feel that will cut out a lot of money, a lot of upset, a lot of misunderstanding of the condition. Then it'll be sorted directly and instantly within, like you say, 20, 40 minutes or whatever it takes for this neural imaging. And I think all these people who are admitted to these wards in the first instance should have a brain scan. Yes, that way then it will save a lot of time, upset on the families, also upset on the individual who has been taken to these AT units in the first instance, and then also for them to have extra care, like my daughter said, while they're in there, to have an understanding how the condition is, how they feel, and everything else that goes with it. That way, the length of time will be a lot shorter and a lot better for everybody.
We're just going to see if we can get Gillian back on. I know she's been trying to get on all night, but for some reason we cannot get her on. I know she's got some issues with trying to connect with us. Maybe next week we can bring Gillian on, because next Monday I'm hoping to speak to Bethany's father, Jez and Leo as well. She's going to be try and give us an update on Stephen, and we'll try and speak to Gillian at the same time next week. So I'm not sure why she can't get on. We've got some more messages here. We've got Connor says, my son tomorrow is in isolation in a special needs school due to behaviour. What's your thoughts on that, man? Do you still think this is institutionalising people still again?
They are, yeah. Literally, it's 12th century. I mean, come on. That child is not being naughty. He just doesn't understand his meltdown. He just doesn't understand how I mean, the thing is, once he's had that meltdown, literally, it's afterwards thinking, why did I do that? Because obviously there's lack of oxygen and lack of blood flowing through the brain for him to have that meltdown in the first place. So that's why they forget what they've done when they've had it. So it's like a little bit like a seizure, if you will. And the thing for him is linking, why am I going in isolation for something I have no understanding over?
Yeah, and we've got a message here on from Periscope. Jolie43 said that's absolutely disgraceful. Can we go now? Sorry, did Lorna just say something then, Mandy?
No, she's just starting to get a little bit that way because she's saying, Mum, are we going out now? I said, we're going out in a little while, don't worry.
Well, Mandy, it's been great to have you on the show once again and
no problem.
Speaking to me. Thanks for giving me that update. We'll see if we can get a reaction or a message from any of the ministers or Matt Hancock if they watch this on replay to see what their thoughts are, because they should be doing a lot more.
Definitely.
Just before we go, we've got another message in from Cassandra. She says, Connor, PDA awful. Why are they doing this? Have you tried complaining to the school using this discrimination legislation? So that's probably what Connor needs to do, to make a complaint to the school.
How old is Connor?
I'm not sure how old Connor's son is. I'm not sure. Maybe you can post a message just before we go to let us know how old he is. So I'm not sure on that. But it's been great to have you on the show again, Mandy. Thanks for joining me. And we'll keep pushing away with the campaign. We'll keep raising
I'm working on that for you, Kevin, at the moment as I'm speaking. I've got a few people that are interested. Somebody on from the Dragon's Den, but we won't go into that right now. But hopefully it will be a positive outcome.
Okay, we've got a message from Celebrity Hair Extensions on YouTube. She says, he's being homeschooled private tutor S and L. Not sure what that means, actually. Tanya on Facebook, she says, my son is out of school due to teachers not understanding his diagnostic report. You know, it's just unbelievable, isn't it?
It is really quite ridiculous. I mean, my other daughter's a secondary English teacher, and they actually have a special needs, or should I say disabilities, autistic so-called teacher that actually deals with pupils who are autistic and helps them overcome their meltdowns and anxiety issues, and which I think is really good in that school that has this person to understand. So when they have these meltdowns or these misunderstandings with other teachers, he comes in and steps in and states why and what for. So then they don't get excluded and they don't get detention for it. It only needs one person for one school, to be fair, to be able to, keep up with what's up with each individual.
Mandy, just before we go, this is quite an important question. Do you think doctors, NHS, social care are wrongfully sectioning people with autism just because they have meltdowns?
Yes, I do, and I think it's because, years and years ago, you used to probably get a little bit of a clout around the ear hole if you were a naughty person, but they didn't understand in them days what was actually going on, and the discipline was, I think, slightly different then as well. I'm not saying it's not the lack of discipline now with autism. I just think they didn't understand it clearly like they do today. I mean, the 21st century now is really coming to the forefront of more of understanding of what's going on with people's brains and minds and such things. But I do feel that it is necessary right from an early age, from preschool really, to recognise the signs and the symptoms. That way, then, by the time they become an adult, they can cope with their thought process, their meltdowns, and have an understanding why.
Yeah, and Cassandra's just said they are temporary. She said they are temporary. Meltdowns are temporary state of distress. Yes, quite right, Cassandra.
Yeah.
And she says not a mental health issue.
No.
The pattern what I'm seeing, I don't know if you're seeing the same pattern here, Mandy, but I'm seeing a lot of people who are having meltdowns are just being sectioned under Section 2 and Section 3. And the professionals are not looking at the actual autism. They just seeing that the child or adult is having a meltdown, so therefore we'll section them.
Yeah, and all they want to do is pump them up with drugs to quieten them. End of the day, it's not the quietening that needs to be done; it's an understanding that needs to be done. So they understand. I mean, they have no training, like Paula McGowan is stating that mandatory training is necessary, not just only for hospitals, but I think they should have it in schools as well, in primary schools and preschools. That way, if they all have an understanding from an early age, by the time it'll create a wave of understanding right through the age system.
Yeah, Celebrity Air Extensions posted another message on YouTube. She says he had to be taken out of school due to teacher bullying and school bullying. And in 2018, he had APD, PDA, and ADHD. Connor says, have you seen the link with PDA and how many now in ATU'S? I've not seen that, Connor, so if you can send us that information, that'll be great. Tanya also says on Facebook, they need proper training in schools, yes, which Mandy's just said. So lots of questions and lots of people watching on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook tonight. So, Mandy, thank you so much, and thank you to your daughter Lorna for joining us again. It's thank you, Lorna.
See you later. Bye.
It's been great to have you on, Lorna, and it's good that you're sharing your experience, what you've been through, and what you're still going through. And I suppose you and your mum just want all this to end now, don't you? And you want to come off this treatment order.
Yeah, I'm just thing. My real name's Lana.
Lorna, sorry, do beg your pardon, Lorna.
You okay?
So, Lorna, if Matt Hancock is watching this now, the Minister for Care, what would you say to Matt Hancock?
Who's that?
He's the minister, so he's the person who's responsible for health and social care. What would you say to him?
That we need more support.
That we need more support. Okay. Thanks, Lorna. It's been lovely to see you. And I'll let you go.
Thank you.
I know you want to go out with your mum.
Okay. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Mandy, thank you so much for joining me on tonight's show. It's been a pleasure to have you back on, and it's great to catch up with you. And I'm sure we'll catch up again.
Yeah, no worries.
We'll try and get you all on next Monday with maybe Leo, Jess, and hopefully Gillian. She'll try and join us next week as she can sort out technical issues.
Okay, no problem.
But it's been great to have you on, Mandy. Take care, and
You too.
we'll see you soon. Bye.
You will do. See you later. Bye-bye.